Hello and welcome to the News by Standards. How would you feel if your child or one you knew was taken into care and ended up living in a B&B, a hostel, or even slept rough? What I'm talking about here is the care system, the safety net we'd rely on if we couldn't look after our kids. I've been working on a BBC documentary which has found teenagers are still being placed in B&Bs and hostels 6 years after the Welsh government said it wanted to eliminate it. Some of the stories have shocked me. This is in relation to an interview with actor Michael Sheen. With record numbers of children being taken into care in Wales and England, they've spoken to some young people who have been through the care system in an hour-long documentary. Filmed over nearly 3 years, it's helped by support from the BBC. Their question is, does the care system always care for children who can't stay with mum and dad? I know for a fact prison would have been better than where I was placed, Niall told BBC Wales investigates lifting the lid on the care system. He says he grew up moving in and out of care between the ages of 14 and 18, and after a place in a children's home broke down just as he turned 17, he was placed in a B&B. People moved there that had just come out of prison and stuff, Niall added, so I got robbed a couple of times in there. You'd see people kicking down doors on a daily basis. There'd be people smashing windows, people carrying knives. Niall told me he was then moved into what he describes as a hostel, although his council insist it was supported housing as they tried to find him somewhere permanent to live. I was woken up by a punch basically, he recalled about one incident, so I had to start barricading my door, which obviously they got through eventually. It was like they put all the troubled teenagers under one roof. The people in charge of Niall's care said they had made every effort to find him somewhere else to stay, and that his case was not straightforward, but Caerphilly Council did not comment on the threats and the violence. Hope was taken into care at 14, but ran away after her foster placement broke down when she was 16. I was a child in a tent with an adult who was over the age of 18, sleeping rough where nobody knew where I was. Hope, now in her early 20s, told me, I was technically a child of the state, it wasn't okay, I was at risk. Those responsible for Hope's care said it could not comment on individual cases, but Wrexham Council said its services had been transformed and it would use Hope's comments to improve things further. In 2016, they presented a petition to the Welsh Government to end the practice of children being placed in B&Bs and hostels. Ministers said they wanted to eliminate it, but 6 years on, it's still happening. Research by the BBC Wales Investigates team suggests dozens of teenagers like Niall and Hope are still being put in that position. Freedom of Information requests to all councils in Wales showed at least 50 young people were placed in B&Bs, hostels and budget hotels in the past financial year, with at least 285 in other accommodation, which is not regulated by the care watchdog. I don't want this to come across as an attack on social workers because it's not. It is their job to look after these young people, but they're working within a system that is, according to one report last year by those in charge of social services, facing a crisis to find suitable places for children to stay. While most children placed in such temporary accommodation are 16 or 17, our investigation found a small number even younger. One example including an 11-year-old boy being housed in temporary accommodation with council staff because there was nowhere else for them to go.